Imagine living where peril shadows every step, where children face grown-up choices far too soon. What if each day felt like an action-packed film, yet it was all truly happening? This account explores a young man named Yarmel Williams, better known by a powerful title, Melly, or even the Gravedigger. This designation speaks of a harsh history, a youth spent in Chicago's streets, where average days were far removed from simple school and playtime. Melly's chronicle began on November 19, 1991, within Chicago's South Side. He was the eldest of three youngsters, growing up with his younger brother Wu and his sister Kenji. But existence for Yarmel and his siblings presented significant challenges. His older brother Wu encountered grave issues and was removed from home for serious firearm-related concerns, though his release was anticipated. Their home arrangement was intricate. Melly and Wu shared a mother, but their fathers differed. Wu's father, Jerome Golden, was held in a restricted place for an extended period because of severe accusations, encompassing involvement in 4 fatalities and a robbery. Melly's own father bore the same name, Yarmel Williams. Their stepfather, Jerome, also called Foe, was kin to a notable person from a major group. This made him like an uncle to all the children, and he consistently provided support, which held deep meaning for them. Why? Their mother, Angie B., fell gravely ill and passed away at age 40. Foe, who functioned as a father figure for Melly, was also taken away when Melly was just 3 years old and Wu a mere 6 months. Can you picture growing up without your mother? And with father figures removed. This compelled Melly and his siblings to mature quickly, navigating a world that demanded too much from them at a tender age. These early losses and obstacles steered Melly onto a course that would soon immerse him in the complex life of the avenues.
If I'm gonna have me a decent little threesome night with my 40. And my man. But she be tripping about, she be upset, like she don't be having that much playtime sometimes. I got you, baby. You know the 9 just be fucking everybody up around the city. It's robbing everybody. Yeah, I gotta cool out on you, baby. I gotta cool out on you. Like 33 friends. You got 33 friends. She just got 28.
Melly and his siblings grew up in a place known as the Randolph Towers, sometimes called the Met Buildings. This location, at 6217 South Volumet Avenue, functioned as the central gathering point for a prominent group called the Black Disciples. His stepfather, Foe, played a key role guiding this group. Yet, after Foe's detainment due to the serious accusations, Melly and his family had to relocate. They moved to a different district, 59th and Calumet, recognized as 600's block. There, Melly began forming new acquaintances and even became friendly with T600's sister, Mina. It was an unexpected bond, and he was frequently seen at their home, even with T600 present. When Melly entered Dunbar High School, he befriended numerous students who belonged to another group, the Mickey Cobras, from districts like 50th and 51st. For instance, he developed a strong friendship with Ziku from 051 Young Money, a relative of someone named KTS Vaughn. Then, a tragic event transpired. Ziku was taken down in 2008 by an individual from THF 46. After this, Melly strongly identified with Young Money, even though most of 051's opponents were the Black Disciples, and Melly already held connections to them through his stepfather. He never fully converted to the Mickey Cobras. These fresh friendships and the rivalries they brought would soon lead to even deeper, more perilous confrontations. As he matured, Melly found himself consistently relocating, residing in various spots across Chicago's south and east sides. It was an existence marked by constant vigilance, particularly as he became a prime target for opposing groups. He often stayed with his grandmother, Alicia, and his actual father, Yarmel Williams. Later, as situations grew intensely volatile, he moved among trusted friends, always seeking to remain ahead. For example, he lived with his uncle, Jeffrey Campbell, also known as Kurt Mack, who was later taken down in 2017. He also spent considerable time with his close friend, Mabu Crump. Here lies a truly astonishing segment of the narrative. Mabu, Crump was taken down outside a gathering in 2018. Melly was actually present during the occurrence and even suffered a bullet graze near his head, but he was fortunate and survived. What many overlooked was that Mabu Crump had previously been close with some of the very individuals who later opposed him, including members of rival groups like THF-46 in 2012 and 2013. Before relations soured between Mabu and these groups, around 2014, they even spent time together. This vividly illustrates the intricate and interwoven nature of these street relationships, where childhood companions sometimes transformed into adversaries. This also explains why Crump possessed so much insight into the internal affairs of various groups. Melly's kinfolk were extensively involved in these groups, granting him connections throughout Chicago. Yet these widespread ties also meant he had numerous reasons to become a target. Let us explore 051 Young Money. They represent one of Chicago's most recognized groups on the South Side, renowned for having many individuals known for their dangerous actions. Whispers suggest people like Kiddo were involved in 6 to 7 grave incidents, and Drilla in 3 to 4. Arrow and Montana are also linked to 2 to 3 such occurrences. 051's members primarily belong to the Mickey Cobras, but their ranks also contain individuals from other groups, including the GDs and BDS, with whom Melly held connections. Their territory spans a considerable area, exceeding 3 square miles. Unlike most groups that typically control less than 2, they govern their local district, which includes Hyde Park to Kenwood and Eastern Grand Crossing. The group's main domain stretches from King Drive to Woodlawn Avenue, between 53rd and 48th Streets, and they share this area with a group called Drexide. Though Young Money possesses a lengthy history, it took them time to truly solidify their standing as a potent group, around 2006 to 2007. During this period, their most intense and celebrated rivalry began with THF-46. To comprehend how these disputes ignite in Chicago, there are usually 5 origins. First, it might concern a young woman, ending in a fatality. Second, it could commence with altercations among childhood friend groups at school. Third, it might revolve around control of territory. As an instance, 2 groups, Black Mob and No Limit, were once amicable. However, an individual from No Limit operated in Black Mob's area without showing deference, prompting a physical confrontation. This intensified, leading to someone from No Limit being instructed to act, and eventually a Black Mob member caused a fatality in reprisal. The fourth origin is when one group begins demeaning another without clear justification. And the fifth origin involves a fatality from ambush due to personal disagreements. The primary conflict 051 entered, destined to become one of Chicago's most severe and renowned street sagas, was with THF-46, also termed 46 Terror. THF signifies trigger. Happy family. Younger individuals from 051 and THF frequently engaged in fights at school and elsewhere. Over time, these arguments escalated to involve more serious instruments. It became only a matter of time before a fatality occurred. The first life lost. In this conflict between THF and 051, Young Money was lost from 051. Franco and Bouo from THF-46 were suspected, and Franco was later deemed culpable. Los, whose true name was Carlos Mariels, tragically passed away on March 13, 2008. He sustained numerous wounds and was declared deceased at the medical facility. THF-46 represents a sizable group situated between 45th and 46th Streets, spanning from Drexel to Woodlawn. They are considered among Chicago's most perilous groups, possessing many older members long engaged in serious street activities. Figures like Rondo, for instance, are known for taking down King Louie and T-Berg, and also striking Mac from 051 Young Money. THF functions with high organization, with an individual named Bezo serving as a key figure, as Lil Durk acknowledged in a song. THF also maintains potent alliances with groups like Lamron and O'Block, all of whom oppose 051 Young Money. Although a fatality never occurred directly between O'Block and 051, Bezo once stated in a live broadcast that many Chicago districts feared THF for terrorizing their opponents. They were believed to surpass many adversaries, including 051, SKD, Touch Money, Mabu, 757, Met Boys, Sue, TB, and even Mob, who never sought revenge after Gucci and Tay-Tay from THF caused a fatality involving someone from Mob. This marked the sole fatality between those particular groups. After these setbacks, 051 Young Money relentlessly sought retribution. This marks the point when Melly, a commendable student, became deeply embroiled in street affairs. This unfolded around 2010 to 2011, when the clash against THF intensified. His entrance into street life was seen as late, yet he eventually succumbed to its pull. In 2011, Montana from 051 caused the fatalities of Quint and Tony from THF within months. This served as payback for THF's actions against Los and Zayo in 2008, and Dominic, who was eliminated by Bezo and Brazo in 2009. Bezo was later accused in 2014, but evaded repercussions due to insufficient proof. Thus, Quint represented the first fatality 051 inflicted upon THF 46. 2011 also marked the inception of a severe conflict with 600. The first life claimed between these factions occurred on November 10, 2011. Streets from 051 occupied a vehicle when an individual from 600 approached and ended his life. He was discovered lifeless at the location. Approximately 3 months later, 051 achieved parity and secured vengeance against 600. This was the moment Melly would become involved in his initial serious incident. On February 2, 2012, Melly commenced his sequence of actions. A 20-year-old named Shaquille Rush, or Shaq, from 600.
Back right now.
Boy.
Or you ain't getting that.
Don't play with my knee.
I'm letting you know. You know how I play out here. You don't come with that money, shawty. You come up in the mission. You talking? You don't know who I am?
Tell him stop playing with her.
You don't know who I am?
No. I know my daddy.
You scared of the dark?
No.
I'm one of them type of guys that be in the dark waiting for you when you gotta go pee at night.
Oh my God.
And I just get you, and you don't never come back to your parents again.
No, you're not going.
You hear me? Then your TT ain't gonna be able to save you. Your daddy, he gonna be crying somewhere like, man, she don't got nothing to do with me. Just take me.
Was returning from a gathering. As he paused in an alley, Melly and Kiddo from World 51, who had been seeking an opportunity to avenge Streets, recognized their moment. They pursued Shaq and caused his demise with multiple hits. Shaq was discovered lifeless at the location. A young woman with him was also injured but fortunately only grazed, allowing her quick departure from the medical facility. Shaq's mother later shared that he loved rapping and crafting music. This was not the first instance their family had been impacted by street violence. Shaq's father had also been eliminated in 1998. What makes this even more remarkable is that Melly actually resided in 600's territory at that time, precisely at 59th and Calumet, the very core of their domain. Months after Shaq's demise, Melly began openly ridiculing Shaq on social platforms, essentially admitting to the deed. He was within 600's territory, brazenly taunting them, yet they remained unable to apprehend him. Melly even posted online that he lived in their district and traversed it daily without apprehension. Because Melly maintained ties with powerful figures from the Black Disciples, he enjoyed a degree of protection while living there. But that did not deter 600 from attempting to capture him. They simply never managed to surprise him. Roughly 4 to 5 months following Shaq's demise, both THF and 600 would retaliate against SoFight 1. On March 28, 2012, Lil Chief from 051 was caught unawares by Bobo from THF in an alley and sustained multiple strikes. Nearly 1 month later, it was 600's turn to even the score, in an occurrence that gained renown among Chicago's street narratives. Antonio Davis, called Fathead from 051, visited a relative's home when he and his cousin decided to walk to a store. A light-colored van slowed as it passed them, and his cousin recognized an individual inside, Capone, who was driving. The van's side door opened, and someone within fired shots, causing Anthony to fall. Then, another person calmly exited the van and fired more shots, striking him repeatedly. Whispers suggest Fathead was targeted for boasting about his role in Shaq's incident, but this remains unverified. Immediately following Fathead's demise, both C-Day and La Capone began deriding Fathead and Eero 51 Young Money on social platforms. C-Day even sent messages to Fathead's cousin, delivering disrespectful remarks. Anthony was a cherished member of Yo 51 and Montana's kin, which prompted Yo 51 to seek swift vengeance. As C-Day, D-Rose, and La Capone openly acknowledged the incident on social media, 051 instantly knew whom to pursue. His cousin had even observed La Capone in the vehicle. C-Day, who delivered the ultimate strikes, quickly became 051's paramount objective, especially for Montana and Melly, who shared a close bond with Anthony. After Fathead was gone, 051 relentlessly pursued those accountable for Fathead's demise, particularly C-Day, but also La Capone, D-Rose, and any other 600 member, to achieve their vengeance. Months later, following C-Day's release from a robbery accusation, Yo 51 seized their opportunity. They tried to ensnare C-Day, leading him to believe he was meeting someone for a purchase, though the item's nature remains unknown, likely weapons or illicit goods. Upon C-Day's arrival at the rendezvous point, Montana, Arrow, and Melly awaited to ambush him. The instant they sighted him, they emerged and began firing, but C-Day immediately fled and successfully escaped unharmed. 8 days after Babo's actions caused Lil Chief's demise, Yo 51 obtained retribution when Lil Mick eliminated Black from THF 46. Yet, it would take approximately 4 more months before Yo 51 gained vengeance against 600. On November 1, 2012, Kiddo from Yo 51 eliminated Triggs from 600. However, many from 600 believed Triggs was an innocent bystander and not genuinely affiliated with their group. Goudet even scoffed at Triggs on social media. Less than a year later, Yo 51 would achieve another score against 600, and this time, it marked one of Chicago's most significant street occurrences. September 26, 2013, brought the cessation of La Capone's trajectory and existence. After his cousin recognized La Capone from the Fathead incident, La became a major target, also serving as a prominent figure for 600 and Chicago generally. Lil Mick, 051 Rockhead, and Moo from Met Boys waited outside La Capone's studio. The 17-year-old artist exited the studio with a friend and then proceeded through an alley. His friend recounted that Leonard went to a corner seeking their transport, then heard 4 shots, and Leonard collapsed. Lil Mick was the individual who pursued La Capone and shot him from behind. Lil Mick, Rockhead, and Moo were later all accused and found culpable. Rockhead subsequently claimed Lil Mick was the sole shooter. Approximately 2 months later, Westbrook, Dre Money, and Lil Ant from THF 46 caused the demise of a young woman named Big A from Yo 51 Young Money. About 6 months after Zo 51 eliminated La Capone, 600, alongside THF, would secure their vengeance for La Capone by causing the demise of 051's most renowned artist, Lil Mark, who had elevated 051's prominence. This occurrence would subsequently lead to Melly's intense actions against Lil Durk and OTF. Lil Mark, whose legal name was Mark Campbell, stood at a transit stop. An individual from LA provided THF 46 the information on Lil Mark. THF 46, already in a van with 600, O-Block, and Folly Boys, drove to the spot. D-Rose from 600 and Twiller from THF opened fire, striking Lil Mark, and immediately accelerated away from the scene. Much discussion surrounds the precise individuals involved, but it appears evident that Lil Mark, Twiller, and 5-Star from Folly Boys were in the vehicle. D-Rose even drove to the site hours later and filmed a video mocking Mark. Some also presume D-Roy and King Von were in the vehicle, as King Von posted online about accompanying D-Rose, Twiller, and Troy that day, and deriding Lil Mark immediately post-incident, stating they would celebrate. Another reversal arrived for So 51 before Melly truly initiated his serious actions against OTF. Lil Boo and Just Blow from 600 located Polo from 51 and caused his demise. After Lil Mark's passing, Lil Durk, Lil Reese, and groups like O-Block, Hilrid, and THF-46 commenced mocking Lil Mark on social platforms and in compositions. THF-DP even composed a song titled Bus Stop, where he made fun of Lil Mark and his brother Tuka, both of whom perished at a transit stop. Lil Durk posted a video of himself at the incident site, mocking Lil Mark. This is where Melly truly became involved. Lil Durk became 051's chief objective. They deeply disliked him. As previously indicated, they resented his achievements, his constant disrespect towards 051 and Mark, and his provision of support to his own group. The predicament for 051 was their inability to directly reach him. Lil Durk was already too prominent, and rarely in Chicago. Consequently, 051 resolved to impact him by other means, by causing losses among those closest to him. Their aim was to target Newski from Face World, OTF Chino from THF-46, Central City Babd, OTF D-Thang, and Larney from Lamron. Baby D and Newski were Lil Durk's relatives. Chino served as his manager. D-Thang is Lil Durk's biological brother and current manager, and Lil Varney, known as The Muscle, stands among Lamron's chief figures and a founder of OTF. Barely 2 months after Lil Mark's demise at the transit stop, in 2014, 051 secured their initial vengeance. On May 31st, Nusky and Lil Durk occupied a vehicle. Lil Durk had entered a shop to purchase footwear. While Lil Durk was inside, Drilla and Melly from 051 approached the vehicle from 2 distinct directions and discharged multiple shots at Nusky. Nusky attempted to drive away, but his vehicle collided. Melly and Drilla retreated to their vehicle, and a driver from 051 swiftly drove them from the scene. Upon hearing the shots, Lil Durk rushed from the shop and beheld his relative, bleeding inside the vehicle. Lil Durk instantly dissolved into tears. Nusky was portrayed as a good and kind-hearted individual with a profound soul. The proprietor of a recording studio Nusky frequented mentioned that Nusky labored on a new endeavor poised to be his major breakthrough. It was slated for release that summer, titled Nusky Got the Strap. Nusky's compositions were spirited, centered on enjoying oneself and his relationships with intimates. He was seen as someone who perceived a prospect to uplift his life through his artistry. Yet Nusky was not merely an artist. He also acted in street affairs, but he did not cause fatalities. Immediately following Nusky's demise, 051 initiated disrespect for Nusky and Lil Durk on social platforms. Much self-identification also ensued. For example, Crump and possibly Melly were present at the location where Nusky was taken down. Crump posted online, asserting, "I am with the individual who performed the act, but he wishes not to be on camera," hinting at Melly's involvement. Melly and Crump maintained a very close bond and were always together. Melly, for instance, was there when Crump was taken down and even sustained a hit himself, but survived. Melly and Drilla also engaged in mocking Nusky on social platforms. Drilla even shared a photograph of Lil Durk at the scene, visibly distressed. This highlights the intense and often brutal nature of these street disputes. The next act of reprisal arrived less than a year later. This occasion marked Chino from THF-46's fate, Lil Durk's manager. OTF Chino was eliminated on Chicago's South Side on March 27, 2015. Chino, whose given name was Uchenna Agu, sat in a vehicle. An individual connected to Young Money members cited Chino, providing 051 his location. Melly approached the vehicle and discharged multiple shots at Chino, one striking him in the head. Chino passed away after being driven to a medical facility. Just hours before his life concluded, Chino had attended a gathering with a celebrated basketball player, Joachim Noah, to discuss initiatives to prevent violence. The prior day, Lil Durk and Chino had been at Noah's residence to learn about an anti-violence effort. They even captured a moment in a photograph later shared online. Just as after Nusky's passing, a surge of self-identification and disrespectful remarks and videos aimed at Chino, Lil Durk and OTF commenced on social platforms. The videos and posts themselves attest to the severity and harshness of these exchanges. Subsequent to the losses of Nusky and Chino, Lil Durk desired Melly's complete removal. He reportedly offered a substantial sum for Melly and mentioned him in several songs. For instance, in his song Die Slow, he states, "For the individual who eliminated my relative, ensure his slow demise." In the song Like That, he declares, "There's one opponent we haven't blessed. After him, it brings no joy," which Melly himself later highlighted in a video, acknowledging it referred to him. Precisely 5 days after Melly's involvement in the Chino incident, he participated in another grave occurrence. This time he joined Babai from Mob, Drilla, Arrow, and OI from 051, and Motor from Jaro. They traversed 600's territory, seeking adversaries. They spotted Lil Boo, a founder of 600. Lil Boo observed their vehicle decelerate as it approached, prompting him to seek concealment beneath another vehicle. However, they had already seen him. They commenced firing shots, and OI and Drilla exited the vehicle and discharged multiple rounds at him. Approximately a month after Lil Boo's demise, Melly himself narrowly escaped serious harm from 15-year-old Raheem from THF 46. Melly, Ario, and Arrow stood in Englewood when Raheem sighted them and began discharging shots. Melly was hit in both his head and his foot. Ario was hit in his right shoulder, and Arrow escaped with a graze wound to his leg. Both Melly and Ario were transported to the hospital in serious condition, but survived, largely because of the small caliber of the weapon Raheem used. 14 days later, Melly and Ario would secure their vengeance, and one of them would subsequently face severe consequences. Raheem and another 14-year-old THF twin occupied an alley. Melly and Ario, seeking retribution, moved through the block. They spotted Raheem and Twin. Both Melly and Ario began firing shots. Twin was hit in the foot and survived. However, Raheem was discovered lifeless at the scene with several shots to his back. Ario was later apprehended and found culpable for the act. He never disclosed Melly's participation and currently awaits his sentencing. Approximately 1.5 years later, it was again time for more grave occurrences from Melly. This time, he caused 2 fatalities within 3 days. About 12 hours before his initial act, Bankroll Q from Aero 51 Young Money had perished at a gathering at the hands of Laydale Smalls and Breeze from Folly Boys and Ty from GGE. Thus, merely 12 hours after Bankroll Q's passing, Melly rode in an SUV. He sighted Laydale, one of Bankroll Q's alleged perpetrators, and discharged multiple shots, hitting him in the chest. L.A. Dale, who was 18 and whose legal name was Delvon Weston, managed to reach a medical center where he later passed away. 3 days after Melly's involvement in L.A. Dale's passing, he would participate in his 6th act, or 7th, if Lily Boo is counted. This time, he would cause his 3rd fatality for THF 46. Trayvon Dickerson from THF 46 stood in an area when TBZ, Melly, and Tristo from 051 Young Money sighted him in a passageway and discharged multiple shots, striking him in eye. Both his face and abdomen. Trayvon was pronounced deceased at the scene. Trayvon also identified with Marvin World. A strong possibility exists that Melly, who resided near Trayvon and held powerful ties in that district, sighted him outside his residence and then shadowed him. Melly absolutely instilled terror in THF 46. It bears repeating that it is uncommon for an individual to cause as many as 3 fatalities for the same group. THF 46 deeply resented him and desired his removal at all costs. Melly had inflicted more harm upon THF 46 than anyone else. When Raheem passed, Bezo was detained for another serious accusation. Many likely question why this bears mentioning. This is because Raheem was Bezo's stepson. Bezo was a significant figure in THF 46, and his stepson was gone. Upon Bezo's release, he desired Melly's removal just as fiercely as Lil Durk did. Both Lil Durk and Bezo pursued the bounty Lil Durk had placed upon Melly. On the evening of May 25, 2018, Bezo, Lil T from THF 46, and Lil Steve from Lamron would cause a loss for Mabu and come agonizingly close to stopping Melly permanently, Crump, and Melly stood before Crump's dwelling. Late Thursday evening, transitioning into Friday morning, May 24, 25, Crump and Melly attended a gathering. Suddenly, a vehicle pulled up, and Bezo, Lil T, and Lil Steve began discharging bullets toward Melly and Crump. It concluded in a minute. Crump was hit and transported to the hospital, where he later passed away. Melly, conversely, was transported to the hospital with grave injuries. He sustained 5 gunshot wounds to his left arm and a graze to his head. He was incredibly fortunate to survive. Lil Durk even credited Lil Steve as Crump's assailant in the song No Auto Durk. Following his close friend Crump's demise, and after nearly being eliminated himself, Melly sought to retaliate against Lil Durk and OTF once more. First, however, he would again target one of those involved in Bankroll Q's loss. Ty from GGE. Ty, whose legal name was Tyron Marshall, was a 19-year-old. Ty leaned against a parked vehicle, conversing with a friend, when another vehicle approached. Melly opened fire from within the car, striking Tyron, and then they sped away from the scene. Tyrone consistently offered wisdom, and as noted previously, he was present when Bankroll Q was eliminated. After Melly's passing, many posted about Ty, demonstrating their reverence. We now arrive at Melly's 9th and ultimate act. As previously shared, having witnessed Crump's demise and after himself nearly being eliminated, Melly sought to punish Lil Durk once more. He aimed to target Lil Durk's biological brother, D-Thang, and his relative Baby D from Central City. Thang, Baby D, and OTF Fresh occupied a vehicle. Melly and some members of another group had followed them from a club. Melly and the others pulled alongside them and discharged shots into the vehicle. All 3 were hit, 1 fatally. Darnell Banks, 30, also known as Baby D, was transported to a medical center with gunshot wounds and later passed away. D-Thang sustained multiple gunshot wounds but later stabilized and left the hospital days later. OTF Fresh was hit in the left knee and departed the hospital quickly. Melly had now caused losses for 3 individuals intimately connected to Lilo. Durkin nearly caused his biological brother's demise. The question lingers, would Lil Durk still create music today had his biological brother not survived? Following these occurrences, individuals from Lamron, THF 46, and 600 Daily sought Melly, yet without success. However, his day would arrive. On September 1st, 2019, Yarmel attended a house gathering in Jaro City's domain. Weeks prior, Melly and Nate from Taquan World had engaged in a dispute that reportedly culminated in Melly firing shots at Nate's dwelling, while his girlfriend and newborn infant were inside. What many overlook is that Nate was present at the gathering long before the incident. He observed Melly standing in a corner and felt resentment because Melly could have harmed his infant and girlfriend. Nate feigned departure from the gathering, then paused, turned, and discharged multiple shots at Melly, also striking a 34-year-old woman. Melly was hit in the chest, abdomen, and groin. Nate then fled through the rear exit. Travis from Jaro City, who happened to be filming at the precise moment Melly was hit, was eliminated himself a day later, though not by 051, as many thought. It was by Manny from 600.
Hello? You been cheating on me? You been fucking with that fuck nigga? Huh? What'd you say? Can't hear you. No, I ain't gonna spend none of you today. I'm gonna go put you up. Put you in a safe deposit box. Yeah, I promise.
051 swiftly ascertained who had harmed Melly. Several attendees at the gathering had witnessed Nate leave. It was then that dynamics shifted between 051, STL, Jaro, and Taquan World. First, Taquan World became an adversary of 051 immediately, upon discovering Nate's involvement and witnessing Taquan members mock Yarmel on social platforms. Following the incident concerning Duck, relations between STL and 051 changed because STL was close to Taquan World. They commenced subtly denigrating each other. Some 051 members mocked Duck, and vice versa regarding Melly. Yet it is vital. To clarify that STL had no part in Melly's demise, and 051 had no part in Duck's demise. O-Block was involved in Duck's passing. They merely engaged in verbal sparring. It is unlikely to escalate further between them. Months after Melly's passing, Melly Way materialized, an alliance comprising individuals from 051, Geo Drive, and 757. Melly Way was involved in the demise of Richie Jerk from Taquan World. However, it was not Rose. He is held for an entirely distinct accusation. Thus, the score between Taquan World and 051 currently stands at 1-1. It is probable that 051 and Melly Way await Nate's release. He is currently held for a firearm-related accusation. Melly was consistently perceived as calm and composed, even by his opponents. Individuals like Drilla, Bezo, and King Von, for instance, all displayed reverence for his street actions. Yet, as C-Day from 600 characterized him, Melly engaged in excessive street activity, rendering it inevitable that consequences would eventually rebound against him. He stood as one of the city's most feared individuals. With that shared, we acknowledge Yarmel Melly Williams. His existence, brimming with intense contention, vividly mirrored the perilous setting he inhabited. This narrative reveals the profound intricacy of life on these avenues, where companionships, allegiances, and antagonisms constantly transform, frequently leading to sorrowful conclusions. It provokes contemplation about the arduous choices individuals face and the cycle of occurrences that can dramatically shape their existences in such environments. It serves as a reminder of the potent repercussions and the swift escalation of situations in such settings.